Hello again from the team here at Inovonics. I'm Eric Banghart, Manager of Global Sales, and thanks for logging on for our fourth edition of the Weekly Cup Series. This week we turn to one of the latest additions to the Inovonics portfolio, a wireless transmitter and receiver kit for fire systems. This represents our first official foray into the fire market, and you guessed it, things are heating up. Michael from our product management team will lead the presentation this week. Michael resides in California and comes from a fire background and led our project to develop and build our first UL-listed fire offering. He'll take you through our wireless transmitter and receiver set and show you how to address some of those pesky installation challenges utilizing this little wireless problem solver. As always, let's keep it interactive, so keep those comments and questions coming through chat or the questions tab, and watch for poll questions as well. We'll address your questions today or put you in contact with your territory sales manager. With that, Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Inovonics Weekly Cup. Again, my name is Michael, and I am the Senior Product Manager for Security and Fire at Inovonics. On today's Weekly Cup, I'll be covering how to wirelessly monitor fire devices. Before starting the presentation, I thought it would be helpful to understand how the product came to be. Upon graduating college in electronic engineering, I worked for a low-voltage fire alarm integrator as a field tech to understand how electronic products were being installed and used. After gaining knowledge in the field, I worked for a fire alarm system manufacturer as a product manager for 8 years, before moving on to Inovonics. Joining Inovonics, I had the chance to resolve a major pain point I experienced as a field tech and a product manager. And with that, I will share my application story. Let's pretend that we are the sales rep in this story. One morning, you get a call from your project engineer who is urgently requesting to resolve an issue with their fire alarm system that intermittently sends trouble indication. So you call into your office to dispatch your field tech service on site. After investigating the problem, your field tech found that the wires were intermittently shorting between two separate buildings. Fire alarm control panel is located in the high-rise building on the left, and the fire device located in the separate building on the right, circled in red. The technician attempted several times to fish new wires through the underground conduit without success because something was blocking it from going all the way through. He calls to inform you of the situation and tells you that the only option to resolve the issue is to trench and to replace existing conduit and wiring. It's now your turn to inform the customer of the situation, but you hesitate because you know the call with the customer won't be easy as it requires hefty costs to fix the problem. As you think about how to inform the customer, you notice your wireless home security system and wondered if there is a wireless fire solution that could resolve the issue. So you do the next thing. If you're like me, I tend to use Google for my question and cross my fingers before I press the enter button. Luckily, you were able to find a related information from the search result, and you clicked to find out more. From the Inovonics website, you were able to find information about commercial wireless fire products that were listed to the 10th edition UL ACES4 standard, and that it is compatible with any panels. You're right, any panels. Also, you were able to find the distributors that offer the products from the Inovonics website. For those who may not know about UL ACES4 and what it stands for, it's a UL standard for control units and accessories for fire alarm systems used in commercial projects. Also, at this time, we have a poll question related to the UL ACES4 that we would like to get everyone's input on. And the question is, does your local AHA accept wireless if indeed it is UL ACES4 listed? Nikki, can you please share the poll question? The poll question is located on the upper right corner where you see the chat option, questions, and then polls. I'll give everybody a minute to answer the question. So it looks like we got the result, and it's 50-50, unfortunately. For any fire alarm system, especially for UASC4 listed products, for fire products, it has to be UASC4 according to the NFPA 72 standard, which is the national standard that is adopted by the AHAs. So keep that in mind. Make sure your product is UASC4 listed. Moving on. So how does it work? Looking at the illustration from left to right, the activation of the fire devices connected to the wireless transmitter will send the message wirelessly to the receiver, which is connected to the fire alarm control panel. The wireless transmitter monitors normally open contact switches from fire devices like PIV, water flow, OSNY valves, or conventional pull station, etc. Any contact closures, basically. The wireless receiver is connected to the panel's input zones or input modules via relay outputs of the receiver. Looking at the wiring diagram for the transmitter from left to right, you'll be connecting the fire devices across the 2.2K in-the-line resistor to monitor normally open contact switches. Next, looking at the wiring diagram of the receiver, the first connection you will need is the power, the 12-volt DC power, across the VS and ground terminal. The other terminal connections are the panel's input or input modules as it follows. Relay 1 for alarm detection, Relay 2 for RF jam detection, Relay 3 for power loss detection, Relay 4 for receiver tamper trouble detection, Relay 5 for transmitter trouble detection. Now that you found a reliable, cost-effective solution to your customer's problem, you can make the call to your customer and become that sales superhero. Since the introduction of the first commercial fire products, we have been gaining acceptance from AHAs across the United States, as shown in the green heat map illustration. The secret is out on how to solve the difficult problems, and integrators are taking advantage of this reliable and cost-effective solution for commercial fire projects. At this time, I would like to invite Sandy Fisher, our regional sales manager, to share some use cases. Sandy, take it away.
Thanks, Michael. Yes, I do have a couple use cases. The first one came from one of the early meetings that I had with a security and fire alarm systems integrator when we first launched this product. And when I showed him what we have, the first comment was, well, we're trying to finish a project. We have the system done in the building, but the post indicator valve is across the street, and there is a wire for that coming up out of a pipe that's sticking up out of the ground. And the fire marshal said, you can't have that pipe like that. That's a tripping hazard. So what they had to do was to get rid of the pipe. And in so doing, that compromised the wire. And they realized it would have been very costly to get the wire the rest of the way and to reestablish that connection to the PIV. So the perfect solution for this scenario is to put the EH transmitter on the PIV and the receiver back at the panel, and problem solved. The second one is a call that I'm now getting 2-3 times a week, where you have a monitored fire system in a main building on a site, and then that business concern is expanding and they're adding a second building on that property, and that building has to have a monitored fire panel as well. So what happens is they don't get the wire over for the monitoring signal to that second panel. So what you can do is put the EH transmitter on the fire alarm output of that panel and program it into a receiver at the panel in the main building. You'll also need a second transmitter at the remote building's fault output, going to a second receiver in the main building. So that's going to accomplish two things. You'll know if that remote building has an alarm or a fault without having the expense of getting the wire over to that building. It's also going to eliminate the monthly expense of a second monitored account. So, Michael, those are my use cases. Back to you. Everybody have a great day, and always be nice to your AHJ.
Thank you, Sandy, for sharing that use cases. One other use case that I could also share with you guys is that if you have a conventional duct detector and it has intermittent problems because due to weather, that's another application that you could use our wireless transmitter and receiver to make that into a wireless. Next, please join us on the next Weekly Cup with Chris Allen, where he will be covering commercial monitoring in Inovonics. And with that, I will turn it over to Nikki to start the Q&A session.
All right. All right, let's see. I went ahead and I just sent a link to you guys. If you did want to register for next week, this link will just bring you to that real quick. And yes, we do have a few questions. This is great. Let's see, from Robert, what is the accepted temperature range for a transmitter, Michael?
The accepted temperature range is from 0 to 49 C, basically for indoor use.
Okay, great. And then Brad asks, does it use a specific fire receiver or will the standard 4-zone receiver work?
So this particular receiver is designed for fire, and it would only work with our fire transmitter as well.
Okay, great. Let's see. Next question, is the wireless transmitter rated for outdoor use, i.e. IP65 or IP66?
No, it is not. But you could always use a NEMA enclosure that has a weatherproof rating.
Okay. And do you need a separate power supply to power the receiver?
Yes, you will need a 12-volt DC power supply, and the two that we recommend is basically any UL 1481 or Ultronics and Potter Signal.
Okay, great. Can I put more than one transmitter on a receiver right now?
No, it's 1-for-1, so meaning one transmitter to one receiver. So if you have multiple fire points, you'll need another pair.
Okay. Let's see, next question is, if the receiver is going into a combo Berg fire panel, can you power the receiver with a 12-volt auxiliary power from the Berg side of the combo panel?
Yes, as long as the combination panel is UL AC24 listed.
Okay, great. And next question, what is the wireless distance?
So typical wireless distance is about a couple hundred feet, so 200 or more. But we highly recommend to use our survey kit. And if you need more information, please contact our regional sales manager or reach out to me.
Okay, great. And then I had a couple in the chat tab. So is it compatible with any fire panels?
Yes, as mentioned previously, it is compatible with any UL64 fire alarm control panel.
Great. And then last question, what recommendation do you have for powering the receiver?
So again, any UL 1481 power supply will power the receiver.
Okay, great. Oh, and I'm sorry, I was wrong. We just had one last question.
No problems.
Here. Actually, a couple. Okay, let's see. It's a kind of a project question. We have a 240-acre site with a wireless emergency call system installed. We have a large Inovonics wireless repeater system installed. Is it possible to use this with secondary monitoring of a fire alarm system?
So you could use our receiver and transmitter combination for secondary monitoring. One thing you need to, as you mentioned about repeaters, on that site. As one thing you have to remember is that this particular fire products are not compatible with the current security repeaters that you have deployed out there.
Okay. Great, Michael. All right, I think that's all of our questions. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Eric. Thanks, Michael.
No problems.
All right. Great information, Mike. To our audience out there in the ether, please make your teams and customers aware of this new solution. As Michael alluded to, the word is out and we're seeing great acceptance across the country from AHJs, and more fire installers are using this time and money saver. So lastly, here are the weekly winners of our coffee gift cards for signing up or attending the presentation today. Frank Holmans from Firebreak Canada, Paul Yen from ADT, and Steve Verdino from StockTech. Congratulations all. So please join us next week here at the Weekly Cup. Remember, at Inovonics, fire is hot. Stay healthy and stay cool. Thanks again.